Welcome to the Desert Sanctuary with Carl and Laura Forehand.
Often when we have doubts about religion or simply want to ask questions, it can feel like we are wandering out into the desert.
We would like to invite you to join our sanctuary, the Desert Sanctuary.
We've tried to pick guests that would resonate with and challenge us and our fellow seekers here in the desert.
We believe that a key to the journey is to keep asking good questions, and we believe that all stories are sacred.
Our hope is that you will find life and healing for your body and mind, and that you will be able to be where you are and be who you are.
And now, here is our show. Hi, welcome to the Desert Sanctuary podcast. I'm Laura Forehand, and I am not here with Carl today. I am here with the one and only Jordan over in Taiwan, my one and only son. So
that's me.
As I like to say, as I do the sign of the cross, my one and only son. So how's things going?
Busy, but good.
Yeah. Hey, I was simple. So I couldn't sleep last night because I was like, okay, this is the Desert Sanctuary, and it's always been kind of like a podcast for like spiritual, nomads, people who are deconstructing, stuff like that. But when you and I get together, we talk about the institution of education. So I was like, well, what can we call like these side quests that we're doing? Like, let's see, the Desert Sanctuary Teacher Edition or something like that. Those are the things that keep me up at night. So, but
I have to think about it. But I think we can come up with something.
We'll have to come up with something. But I say that because like Dad and I did a podcast yesterday with a teacher. She is an expert in like individuals with autism, but I met her through this, and we're going to talk about this article that I'm doing an article study with the Alliance Against Seclusion and Restraint, which is school based, But I thought when we were having our discussions online, she kept bringing up religion and how, like in kind of like a negative way when it comes to individuals with disabilities. And so I was just like, oh my gosh, I want to have her on the podcast. And so we actually recorded with her just last night. And so like, I feel like the idea of deconstructing can be not only like through the organization of the church, but just really any organization that might be harmful in some ways. So I don't feel like what we talk about is a stretch at all, because I think if you think about like the Desert Sanctuary, it's really kind of a place where you're questioning things, and it can be any kind of organization, really. So anyway, so I'm glad to have you on the podcast, and we are going to be talking about. Go ahead.
It might be because the problem is hierarchies, not specific belief systems or institutions. In a lot of cases, though, those are also sometimes a problem. But anyway,
right, exactly. So, like I said, I'm doing this article study, and it's an article. It's called Unsnarling PBIS and Trauma-Informed Education. And I want to say the authors are Rihanna M. Kim and Alex Venet, Venet. It's a really good article. I mean, it's a lot of academic language, but it's a really good article. I don't feel like it's too like above, say, an educator. But if you are an educator, I think it's a good article. It just talks about the difference in PBIS and trauma-informed education. So my first question to you is, what do you know about PBIS? Now, first of all, let me tell you that PBIS stands for Positive Behavioral Interventions and Supports. And a lot of schools use it. But I want to know...
Like 27,000, I believe, is what the article says.
Right.
Yeah. To answer the question I know that's coming is I really don't know much about it, because we, at least here, do not have to implement it at all. And I don't know to the degree that it was implemented when I was in school, and I don't think if it was like a thing that they were supposed to do, I don't know if they did it, because again, I don't know.
Well, but you know a lot about behaviorism. And
For
so
sure.
if you think about PBIS, it's just another name for behaviorism. They have
Yeah.
repackaged it, rebranded it, kind of put some twinkly lights on it, made it look all
Yeah.
pretty. But it's behaviorism because
Yeah.
it's about rewarding positive behavior or compliance, really, if you think about it.
Yeah.
It's rewarding compliance. And we talked about this before I hit record, and I don't think you would know because at my first district, we implemented it. I remember it was like a big deal. And like every year you got some sort of award if you implemented the next tier of PBIS. And so I remember like we got to the highest level of awards. But the thing is that because it really doesn't work, or it works for some, but it's not something that's going to work for all kids. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But by the time you get in junior high and high school, it's almost like the younger students are like, oh, I love this because I can get a piece of candy if I conform, or if I am compliant, or I can get a sticker or whatever the carrot is that we're dangling in front of students. But I think by the time you get to junior high and high school, I think kids have figured it out. I think they're just like, this is stupid, kind of thing. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to, see how high I can jump so I can get. And what are you going to get, right? Because a piece of candy in junior high and high school, or a sticker, means nothing, right?
It depends, because I will say that I bring candy and stickers to school, and my kids love them, but it's not like it's more just a gesture of goodwill, as opposed to like, oh, you like, sometimes I'll be like, oh, if you answer this question right, like I'll give you a piece of candy or something, but then I'll give it to them anyway.
Right,
they know that they know that if they come up to me and ask me for it, like because I don't just bring candy, I bring like little like snacks, like peas and stuff, and they'll be like they know also that like if they're, because like I basically tell them like, okay, you're tired, like you got a couple options, like wash your face, like stand up and move around, or like you can have, like, if your blood sugar's low, like get some whatever snacks or whatever. Right. So they know they're always going to get it. Like I never, the only time I say no is when I'm joking for 2 seconds, where I'm like, they're like, can I get a piece of candy? Like, can I steal a piece of candy? I'm like, no. And then they're like, and I'm like, of course you can. Like, you know you can, like, it's fine. Like most of the kids I just put the bag on the table and they just come get it when they want. So it's like, it's it doesn't really work, because like you probably end up pushing more kids away by not meeting their base needs.
Exactly. Well, and that's the opposite that this article talks about, which is trauma-informed education. We have to meet those basic needs. I mean, our kids aren't going to, I mean, a piece of candy is not going to help our students who may have come in our classrooms with some sort of trauma. And even the compliant kids, I mean, you can't rule them out. They may be coming in with trauma, and that's why they're so quiet and seem like they're sitting in their seat and doing exactly what you ask. That might be out of like, they're scared shitless because they know what it's like to not comply and get, in trouble or whatever. So, but what you're doing is more of like what you said, let's meet your basic needs, and then we can get on with the task of learning what you need to be learning. So, but so PBIS is, like, if you just think of it in the realm of behaviorism. So in our article study, they pose some questions. So I'm just going to like read these questions, and then we can just have a dialogue, because I don't know the right answer to any of these either. But I think it goes a lot deeper than like the carrot and stick mentality of PBIS.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that until I got into this study. But
Mhm.
so the first question that was posed was behaviorist frameworks focus on observable behavior. What important aspects of the human experience might be overlooked when this approach is used? Okay, so it focuses on what we see in the moment, right?
Yeah.
That observable behavior. Okay, but what are we missing if that's all we do?
I feel like the question is so obvious, but maybe it's because I've just been doing like education for so long. But it's just like duh, like there's everything. It misses most. Like a lot of kids' behavior is not based on like when we only look at things like bad behavior. How can you like assess the reasoning behind that? Like, why is the kid acting out? Like you're missing the whole point there. Like, yeah, again, we can punish or reward a behavior, but if we don't address the root of where that issue is coming from, then like we're not getting there. Like
Right.
I've had kids, of course, tons and tons of kids like that, like where you can get them to like you were using the word comply, like you can get them to comply for, a short amount of time, but they're going to be the same way the next day, or they might be the same after break time, or they might be the same after 15 minutes because they have a bigger thing that's inside their head, which is again where, listen, behaviorism, there's parts of it that are useful, I think, like or can be implemented like with cognitive behavioral therapy and stuff like that. Like we do also need to look at behavior, but if we're missing the cognitive part of that, like you are absolutely missing like the way more important part. Because if you're not teaching kids things like coping mechanisms or like understanding how like their bodies feel when they're like getting dysregulated, blah blah blah, like you're not dealing with the issue. Like you're just not. You're putting a, like, to put it bluntly, like you're putting a Band-Aid on a shotgun wound. Like
Yeah.
that's great, and like it may make you feel better, or it may make the kid slightly less aggravated for 15 minutes, but you're not fixing the problem, and you're going to have the same issue erupt again and again and again.
So I kind of have a couple follow-up questions. I'm going to try to remember them. I am 61 and sometimes I forget unless I write it down. But
You're beautiful and you have a great memory.
So on the unlearning curve, which is the other podcast that you do with Dad and Stuart, if you aren't listening to that, highly recommend. But you have talked about cognitive behavioral therapy. Give me a synopsis of what that is. It takes me a while. Like I've looked into it. It's kind of like PBIS and behaviorism, and some of the things we're going to talk about. I have to like hear it more than one time or read it more than one time for it to really soak in. So give me kind of a synopsis of that.
Cognitive behavioral therapy is kind of what it sounds like. It's like it kind of marries both some of the ideas of behaviorism, but more just like about like watching behaviors and then maybe attaching them to things like cognitive functioning. But it really depends, because like that's such a wide field, because there are like subsections to all those things, like there is with anything. But like generally speaking, it borrows some of like the early stuff from like the like psychoanalytics and stuff, but without like the weird like cocaine fueled thoughts of Sigmund Freud. And again, a man working in his time, I got a lot of stones to throw at Sigmund Freud, but I also like will defend him to some degrees on certain things. But point being is like it's a lot of talk-based therapy. It's a lot of like giving people homework to practice at home, figuring out why you're thinking certain ways, finding errors in cognition and fixing those, and then watching how that manifests in behavior. That's like kind of a quick and dirty definition. But CBT is kind of like, and listen, I'm not a psychologist, but like I teach psychology, and I try to stay somewhat read up on the literature. Like it's kind of the gold standard, at least right now. And we'll probably find something better as we kind of always do as humans, hopefully, if we keep progressing and we don't decide to like boil ourselves in, seawater or something, because we can't take care of other problems that we have in our world. But the idea generally is that, yeah, you're dealing with the cognitive issues that a student or a patient or whatever has, and then working through that. That's like kind of the idea. It's a lot of talk therapy, essentially, if you want a really, really simple answer.
Yeah.
For people. Yeah.
So, Dad and I were talking about this on our podcast last night about how, like, we have to make time for community, connection, all those kind of things. And it's really hard in the church because we got to keep the train running, right? And it's hard in schools too. Like, and you can speak to what it's like in Taiwan. I'll speak to what it's like here. We have state standards, and we are expected to meet those state standards, especially in the grade that I teach, which is third grade. I mean, in every grade. But I'm just saying at the end of my third grade year with my students, they are going to be asked to perform on the state test, right? And in high school, you have end of what's it called? End of course exams. Yeah. Sorry. EOCs. Yeah. So like there's a lot of pressure for teachers. Like, we got to keep the train running. So when we see this type of I can see why PBIS, I'm using air quotes, works, because it's a quick fix. Because to be trauma informed, you have to sit down and you have to do exactly what you were saying. You've got to dig a little deeper. You've got to ask them questions. So where do we find the time? Or where do you find the time? So what is it like in Taiwan? Like, do you guys have not state standards, but you know what I'm saying? Do you have like, I have to get this in, or I may not have a job kind of thing?
My situation is really complicated because I don't teach at a public school. There are standards, like Taiwan is far more heavy on testing in public schools than America is. Like, if you think America is bad, like the pressure that kids have here you basically have to take a major, like, you get one, sometimes two shots at it, for the testing. Like, they have the Huikao and like these different tests, but basically, like, when you leave elementary school to go to junior high school, you have a major test. When you go from junior high to high school, you have a massive test. When you go to high school to university, major test. Like, and kids will go to like extra school, like it's called cram school here, bushiban. Like, they will go to school for like multiple hours per week for years to take these tests. So yes, like, for a lot of teachers, they do have like a lot of stress. I teach at a school that uses a different standard because it's an international school and it's also a private school. So we have pressure as well. But our management is a little bit like forgiving in terms of the teachers and stuff. So like, it's mixed, especially if like we have students that like they know are like underperforming. So I used to teach at like those cram schools, those like extra hours classes, like for teaching English before. And that there's some pressure around like the kids need to take standardized tests for English, but it's not like at a certain time. But yeah, if like kids constantly underperform and the parents are really harsh, then there's like a lot of pressure. You might get pressure from the school as well. But generally speaking, like, a little bit less pressure is put on the foreign teachers because like, like, kind of like foreigner privilege in a lot of cases. Like, they just assume we're like not actually qualified teachers. Like, we're kind of just clowns that like can speak quite proper or like decently proper English. So it's like way more complicated here, but yeah, in general, yeah, we do have, like, in the public schools, there is like very heavy like standardized testing. And if teachers don't give enough tests and like homework, and if the kids don't do well, like, yeah, there can be consequences for it, I guess, to answer your question more directly.
So how do you find?
Hold on.
Okay.
Hey, my dogs are being stupid. What are you guys doing? They like barking at each other. Sometimes they fall asleep, and like one of them will fall asleep on the other one, and then they wakes up and then they think they're fighting, but they just walked out together, like wagging their tails. So anyway, sorry. They're just like, one of them just started barking at the other one, and I was like, sometimes they like do a little fight dance, and I'm just
that's hilarious.
Knock it off, ladies. You guys are cute lesbians. Just keep it that way. That's facts.
Oh,
My dogs are just this sweet little lesbian couple.
I
But
love
anyway,
it.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
I'm
that's
sorry.
okay. I love it.
And
For listeners who don't know, we had to say goodbye to our sweet Winston, the Wonder Dog, and so I love hearing stories about and seeing pictures of your dog. So that's a perfectly wonderful side quest, as I like to call them. So then with the pressure, and I would say that, you know, just the stress and anxiety and, if you will, trauma around testing is very, very real. And I'm going to get into something else regarding that in a minute. But so how do you find time when because I know you've shared that you've had students that maybe have had some mental health issues or, just having a bad day. Doesn't have to be necessarily a mental health issue situation, but, like, how do you find time? Because I find that is the frustration and the question with most teachers when we go ahead and go, okay, here's something new, even trauma informed, right?
Yeah.
So we brought that back to my current district a couple years ago, and you could just feel the stress in these teachers. Like, where am I supposed to find the time now to do social emotional type things?
Yeah.
My answer to that, and it's very oh gosh, I don't know the right word. You can fill in the vocabulary word, but to me, it's like you're not going to get a whole lot else done if you don't deal with those types of things. I think that trauma informed is not something that you insert. It's something that needs to be woven into your entire day, right? It's the way you teach. It's the way you talk to students. It's the way, anyway. How do you find the time, or do you agree, or what do you want to add to what I just said?
No, you just like essentially commit yourself as like a it's a period of servitude, in my opinion. Like, I spend so much time. It's like a lot of time. I mean, I have an advantage, which is that my department is like really small, so there are literally times when I like only have one kid in class. And so that makes it a lot easier because I don't have to deal with all those dynamics. But yeah, even in the bigger classes, like, it takes a lot of time. I mean, I think a huge part of it is just building like a relationship with students and letting them know, like, listen, I'm always here. And like, then just reminding them of that. Sorry, I read for like 8 hours straight today, in my class that I had. And then I just taught like a almost 2-hour class right before this. So I taught for like, I left my house at about 7 a.m. today, and I got back at about 7 p.m. And then right immediately after that, I taught for 2 hours, and I also have not eaten dinner yet. And it's
oh my gosh. Well, if you want to eat on the
podcast,
podcast, go for it. You're not going to offend me.
I'll think about it, just starting randomly cooking in the middle. Everyone can listen to the wonderful
the sizzling.
ASMR.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, like, I mean, I think basically the bottom line of it is like, you just have to build a relationship with students, and that involves just like being around. Like, we have also like a unique kind of situation in our department, because like we have a like office, and there's kind of like a teacher's area and like a student area where like the students who are like, if they have like a self-study period, they can come in there. But I like always kind of sit in the student area and like work with, because like a lot of times kids will come in and like be like, hey, can you help me for like 30 minutes or something? And I just spend a lot of time in there. And then like, again, like things like having snacks, or like just like interacting with the kids, or like, I mean, I don't know. I feel like if you're like an actual like engaged teacher that's like paying attention, like my kids will always be like, how did you, like, I'll be like, you all right, man? Like, how you doing? Or like, what's up, girl? Like, what's wrong?
Yeah.
And they'll be like, how did you know? And I'm like, bro, I've been teaching for like 10 plus years. Like,
Yeah.
I know, I can tell. I
You
can
can
tell when
tell.
you're having a bad day. I can tell, like, whatever it is. And they just get comfortable with just being like, yeah, I'm having a bad day, or like, I've dealt with this. And like, you build that relationship, and then you build that trust. And that is what I think is the most important. Like, these kind of like big like systems, like, I get why they're implemented.
Hmm.
Again, like PBIS is like, it's because a lot of times teachers are teaching 30 kids. Like,
Yeah.
I've taught 35 classroom, like 35 student classrooms before. And it's like, yeah, like, it's nearly impossible to pay attention to everyone. I'll still try to like make an effort to like go to everyone, like, before class. The kids that come in early, I talk to them. How's it going? Like, blah, blah, blah. And you get varying degrees of like interaction, but like, the kids know, like, after a certain amount of time, like, when you do things like, hey, listen, I just want to deal with the problem. Like, I'm not here to like report you to the upper management
Right.
or something, like,
Right.
which is what a lot of teachers do, because it's easier. It's just go, you broke the rules. Like, go deal with
Send to the
go deal
principal's
with the
office.
manager.
Yeah.
Yeah, that stuff. And like, then the kids like don't trust you. And like,
Right.
that's it. It has to come down to like that base level. Like, I don't know if I'm answering the question at all, but like,
No,
that's
you
what I
are.
think for me is like what gets me to like those secondary levels of like, okay, now we can talk about like these, like, whatever, again, like, whether it's like some trivial thing that you dealt with in your day, your bus was late and you were late to school and now you're pissed
Hmm.
off, or like, or whether it's like you're dealing with like severe body dysmorphia or like unipolar depression, because I also have students that have like, that's not like a flippant thing. Like, I have kids that are diagnosed with like severe mental
Right.
health issues,
Right.
and I have to deal with those kids on a day-to-day basis. And like, again, I have a benefit of teaching psychology, so I can kind of weave that in sometimes, but like, it's something that you have to like really work on, and it's tough. Like,
Yeah. Well, one thing I loved, I've got two things again, and I'm starting to write things down so I don't forget. But one thing I really appreciate what you said is I wrote down, you are normalizing emotional IQ. And
yeah,
I think that is so important. So many kids, I've taught from first grade to third grade. I've taught first, second,
yeah,
and third grade. Those kids can't name an emotion to save their life unless
yeah,
they know they're mad, but they don't know why.
yeah,
They know they're
yeah,
sad, unless it's something
yeah,
very tangible, like my dog died or something like that.
yeah,
But
yeah,
some like the bus being late, or
yeah,
my mom woke up late, and so I
yeah.
was late to school, and so they're dysregulated. Like they
Mhm.
can't articulate all that most times, right? So I
Of
love
course they
that you
can't,
are.
because honestly, a lot of high school students can't. You have to teach them. It's a skill that you
Exactly.
have to teach.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying is that you are helping your students become have a very high emotional IQ. I'm listening to a book. I'm going to look up the title here in a minute, but it's about
Mhm.
parenting. But I like to listen to parenting books, even though I'm not parenting littles anymore. But the
Yeah,
fact that I'm a teacher of littles, like I can take
yeah,
those things back into the classroom.
yeah.
So I'll look up
Yeah,
that.
everyone should know that mom's favorite like children's author is James Dobson.
Oh
Um,
gosh. I thought you were going to say Peter H. Reynolds because he really is my favorite. Peter H. Reynolds. Have you ever read
I'm
any
just
of his
joking.
books? Yeah, Dr.
I
Dobson. Oh
haven't.
my gosh, that was a little triggering. I'm just going to say.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, no, I haven't. Um, I actually tend to like not read a lot of like educational material because it's kind of disparate.
Yeah,
But like, I usually just use, because again, I teach psychology, so I usually just use the like psychological material, because it's like it's kind of the same thing, and so I end up using that a lot more.
yeah,
Um, and I also tend to like tailor it more, but also I have the benefit of, again, I'm not teaching third graders. I'm teaching kids that like, yeah, they may not know how to like regulate, and like they may not be able to like pinpoint, oh, I'm pissed off because like my dad said something to me this morning or whatever. Like, but like
hmm,
they learn it over time, and also like we can at least go over like the kind of like coping mechanisms and stuff that we learn in class, that they
right.
can be like, oh yeah, actually, like, no, like mindfulness is useful, because like
Hmm.
I can figure out like when I'm feeling dysregulated, blah blah blah.
Hmm. Yeah.
Mm.
The book that I'm and I do a lot of Audible because when I drive back and forth, it's just easier for me than to sit down with
Yeah.
a book. But I'm listening to the book. It's called Raising an Emotionally Intelligent Child by John Gottman. It's really good, and
Um,
and also Peter H. Reynolds. He writes
mhm.
children's books, so but they're very, I don't know, they're very SEL esque, if you will. And so
Mhm.
they're so good. They
Yeah.
bring joy. They just bring joy.
Yeah.
So that's why I love reading his books to my students.
Yeah.
But anyway, this is a really good book, and it does talk a lot about emotional IQ and how, we as parents have to work on our own emotional IQ so that we
Yeah.
can then parent or teach, if you're not a parent,
Yeah.
teach our students how to have a high emotional IQ. But I wanted to bring
Yeah.
up something that you had said because you were talking about kind of the different abilities of your students based on maybe some mental health issues or just having, when I think about that, I think about ableism. And so
Yeah.
I'm really trying to learn a lot about ableism. I even talked to your sister about it
Mhm. Mhm.
because she knows more than I do about it. But it's
Yeah.
basically, and that is a huge issue with PBIS because
Yeah.
you have to assume in PBIS that everybody learns, behaves,
Yeah.
walks in a straight line the same,
Mhm.
right? You're
Yeah.
not taking into account the trauma history. You're not taking into account the mental health issues that might be there. We're it's almost like we're, PBIS is like we're training little soldiers, everybody again to be compliant. And
Yeah.
so if you look at positive behavior interventions and supports, PBIS, it does not take into account students with disabilities, students with mental health issues,
Yeah.
students with trauma histories. It really doesn't take any of that into account because what your bottom line is compliance, compliance, compliance.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even if you don't want to take it that far, it doesn't take into account the fact that kids have different like levels at which they start, and like different levels of like the parental input that is or can be given,
Right.
whether or not it's a function of like the parents want to or not. Like the parents may be a single parent working 3 jobs. Like you're not going to get a lot of like help at home in those cases. Like, so what do we do with those kids? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
and like I don't know. Like, I mean, I got my thoughts on what capitalism would like to do with them, which is like throw them to the lowest rung of society, so we always have a nice pool of labor to pull from. But like,
Right. Right.
yeah, like if the goal of education is actually to like get everyone to the highest level that they can get, like it's not the way to do it. But again, I don't the way we run education and like the fact that we talked about this last time, but like, when you have a fucking ghoul like Linda McMahon running the fucking education department, like no shit, like it's not going to be run very well.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, like I mean, you again, but all those things require the teacher to have like a pretty in-depth understanding of each kid's like ability, background, like all these things, and like that's not easy, especially when you're talking about the fact that we have really bad burnout and poor
Mm-hmm.
teacher retention because we don't fucking pay teachers, and like teachers are treated like shit. Like, yeah, of course, you're just gonna get a bunch of like early teachers that don't have any relation. Like I was telling one of my the student I was just teaching, he is working as a badminton coach right now, and we were talking about that. I was just like, man, if you just like get to know your students really well, it will get so much easier because you'll be able to know like, okay, this kid has these tendencies, blah blah blah, and then you'll also be able to like they'll trust you more. And so like
Right.
if they are having a problem, like yeah, sure, like if he teaches a lot of like really young kids, so it's like yeah, they may not be able to verbalize it in the way that like you or I would, but like a kid can tell you if they feel like fucking pissed off or something. Like it's not, if you teach them like the vocabulary and like some of the coping mechanisms for that, and like, okay, when I feel dysregulated, like I'm going to tell my teacher, like you can get somewhere with that.
Yeah.
Whereas like, yeah, if you're just training them like Pavlov slashing the throats of dogs. Like, yeah, you're not going to get as far with that.
Exactly. Yeah. One thing when you were talking, I thought about is, not to overwhelm educators, because teachers need support too. Like,
Yeah.
with the whole, again, trauma informed education can be one more thing. Teachers think, oh my gosh, I got to just, put this on my plate. But teachers,
Yeah.
like you were talking about, burnout, feelings of overwhelm. They may be dealing with their own trauma. They may be dealing with their own shitty morning at home. They may have gotten in a fight with their spouse or their child or something like that. So we have to look at this as, something that has to come from the top down, right? We're asking teachers to pour into the lives of their students, but teachers need administrators, school board members, I was going to say administrators, but I already said that. We need them to also understand about trauma informed and pour into those teachers and give them, if they need to step out of the classroom. I think your dad is having lunch today with someone. I'm not going to say in case for some reason they listen to this, but I think your dad wants to talk to them about, how can we help when teachers are feeling dysregulated in the classroom, allow them to step out for 5 minutes. Yeah. Now, when I feel like my amygdala is firing in my classroom, let's say that I'm teaching and I've got students that are either talking, not listening, shouting out, and I feel, this level of frustration rising in me, I will literally stop. And I'll just say, guys, I'm feeling really dysregulated right now because y'all are interrupting me, and that that makes me feel like you don't want to hear what I have to say. Yeah. And so I'll literally take a couple of deep breaths in front of them and just be quiet. Yeah. And it is, some of them look at me like, cool, wow, that's, and some of them look at me like, holy shit, because I just think that some of them, not all of them, are more used to a teacher, a parent, an adult screaming at them. I said to be quiet. I said to shut up. I'm talking, and so, which only feeds into, their dysregulation. Yeah. So, I think it's like you mentioned this, you've got to model that sometimes to your students.
Modeling behavior is like, even if you are kind of like a troglodyte that still believes like fully in behavioralism, or behaviorism, I always call it behavioralism because
your dad called it that yesterday, so it's all right.
I always want to say behavioralism. It's behaviorism. But anyway, like even if you believe in that, like Bandura was doing probably somewhat abusive studies and maybe dangerous studies, but like doing studies that clearly showed like early on in like the 1960s, listen, like it's clear, like kids will model behavior, especially if they view the person that they're looking at as someone that also like kind of has similar characteristics to them. Like it's not, and I obviously do it in a little bit more nuanced way with my kids, but like if I'm in a bad mood or I'm really tired, I'll walk in and be like, listen guys, I'm in a bad mood today. I'm in a bad mood, but I'm going to try to be in the best mood I can for you guys. Cause like you guys weren't the problem, but I'm in a bad mood. So like we may need to keep it a little more like on point today. But I'll do my best. And like, if you think I'm being unreasonable, just like tell me. And they're like, all right, chill. And like, that's basically all it is. And the kids will say the same thing. Like they also know that they can come into my class and they go, listen, teach, like I slept 5 hours last night because I had a fight with my mom. And so like, I'm tired today. So I'm gonna be a little sluggish, or I may need to like get up and like go to the bathroom, wash my face or something. Like, I'm like, chill. Like, I appreciate you telling me that. And like, so we're good. Like, no worries. Like if you need to deal with your shit, deal with your shit. Just tell me. Like, that's all we got to do is we got to have a dialogue. But it's not, that's the thing is it is complicated. Like, and you're talking about like adding something to teachers, like list of things to do. But like realistically, if we cut out a lot of this bullshit, like PBIS and stuff like that, like we could you could learn this stuff, and it's also just not that hard.
Right.
Like, it can get really complicated, and especially when you're dealing with kids with like complex mental health issues or family life issues or something. Yes, of course it can get complex, and that's why we do need to have support systems for teachers, and we should probably be teaching less hours, and we should be, supporting them with more. They should be getting paid more.
Money.
They should fucking getting paid more. They should be getting paid more. Teachers should be getting paid more. And if you're listening to this and you think teachers shouldn't be getting paid more, like, take a long walk or a fucking short pier, because like, fuck you. Like, they should be getting paid more. And also, don't tell me you care about education and then tell me you're not going to support teachers and give them more benefits and more pay, because that's bullshit. Anyway, rant over. But like, it's just like, it really isn't that complex. It's really just about building. It's about having enough time to build those relationships.
Yep. That's what I was going to say. And you made that point earlier. And I think that's so important. It really is about creating relationships. And when I say creating relationships, I don't mean go in there and be their friend. Now, you teach olders. Yeah. I'm not in there like to be my 8 and 9-year-old's friend. Okay.
Yeah.
But I will tell you that one of the biggest compliments my students can give me is when they accidentally call me mom or grandma.
Yeah.
Because to me, that's a nurturing.
There's a familiarity.
Yeah.
And also,
and it's, then they laugh and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's, that's all right. I never want my kids to feel embarrassed, because sometimes they do feel embarrassed, but I'm just like, I hope that when I take it as, somebody who is a parent or a grandparent is going to be, I like to think of it as a safe place, because that's how I like to think of me as a grandparent. I want to be that safe place for my grandchildren.
Yeah.
But anyway, but yeah, it's about relationship. And like I said earlier, it's about it just needs to be something that is interwoven in everything you do. And if you start the school year with I always take the first 2 weeks, and that's all we do is we are learning to be in community with one another. We're learning to trust each other. We're learning what the expectations are, and how to handle it when we're feeling dysregulated. So yeah, really good stuff. And that was only question 1. So here we go. Question 2. So the second question, and this one might be a little bit easier, but we'll see, because, you have a lot of really good things to share. But it says that PBIS encourages defining and measuring behavior so it can be modified. What kinds of behaviors are most likely to be labeled problematic, and who gets to decide if it's problematic or not? Excuse me. So let me ask that in 2 separate stages. So what kind of behaviors, in your opinion, are behaviors that are most likely to be labeled problematic? I got a list.
Yeah, there's a lot, honestly, because it's basically anything that can be that is not appropriate for the classroom, like speaking out. Wow. Yeah, jinx. Just being frustrated, not being not doing the social politeness, niceties and stuff like that. Can be seen as being disrespectful to a teacher, because there is one thing in Taiwan is I don't know, it's mixed. It depends on where you teach, but at my school, or my program at least, they'll more call me by my first name. They try to do a thing where they would make them call us Mr. or Miss, your first name. And I was like, you guys don't need to do that. If you really want to, you can. I don't care. But I'm kind of dad's mindset, where it's call me anything but late for dinner. It just doesn't really matter. If you feel comfortable calling me that, as long as it's not something inappropriate, I don't really care. But yeah, I think it's so many things, because it basically is anything. And again, then if you also have a dysregulated teacher or a dysregulated staff, well, then they're triggered by the person that's already the little kid that's triggered. And then that becomes problematic behavior, because I decided it was.
Exactly.
I've seen that from management, but numerous times where I can tell, manager comes in, they're having a bad day, they're pissed off, because when I go to say hi to them, they don't recognize me, which I could be you're being rude, you're breaking the rules, but obviously they're above me, so I can't say that. But then they interact with the students, and the students maybe are also dysregulated, and then it becomes a big fight. And it's like, we didn't have to do this, guys. Like, we could all, if we actually like worked on the actual crux of these things, like we could have avoided all of this. But yeah, I mean, it literally is just any quote unquote deviant behavior.
Right.
But a lot
and
of times
it could
that's
be,
just like,
go ahead. No, you go ahead. Finish. Okay. I was just going to say, and it could be a spur of the moment behavior, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So like you were
Most
saying,
of the time it is actually.
Yeah. And like you were saying, it's because I'm dysregulated. All of a sudden your behavior is not appropriate. Right.
Yep.
It's funny that you said that about calling you by your first name, because I was like scrolling through Instagram, which I'm already off of Facebook. I'm really thinking about because I just, oh my gosh. Anyway, and I know you could lecture me about that. Yep.
Cut the cord. I've basically stopped scrolling. I mean, I still do sometimes. I'm not a saint, but like it'll change your life. If you end the scrolling, you'll save so much time, and it's never worth it.
It's good for my mental health. I mean, honestly, to get off, we're going on a side quest now, but
it's so good for your mental health.
When I got off Facebook, it was just like, I felt this weight. Because on Facebook, to me, I was always comparing myself, which is another trap that educators fall into, right? Because we follow a lot of people that are educators, and they look like they do everything perfectly, and they're, never lose their shit. Never have a bad day. Everything's cute and Pinteresty. And then you feel like shit because you can't.
It's easy to do that when you have complete creative control and you can edit everything to look like you're the perfect person, because that's how all of it is. Like, no, I with my student who has body dysmorphia, like, we've had a lot of these conversations. I'm like, okay, let me show you this video, and it'll be a video of like an influencer, and they'll be like, this is me. And then like it's like a picture of them and they look perfect. And then it's like, okay, well, this is when I remove the filter, and this is when I remove the makeup, and this is when I remove like the designer clothes, and like they slowly like grow into a normal human. And my kids are like, what the fuck? And I'm like, yeah, like this is all fake. It's all fake. Anything you see online is fake. It's fake. And like that doesn't mean there's not anything to be gained from it, but it does mean that if you're believing when people are just posting like these perfect things, that is complete bullshit. Plus those people are millionaires that have like teams behind them. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen, and sorry to go on a rant, but like if you've ever seen like these like cooking shows and stuff, like they're not cooking in a fucking kitchen with a camera. They have a whole staff of like a boom mic person, and a person with a camera, and a B camera, and like people giving directions, and like people helping like it's all orchestrated. It's all fake. Like I cannot drive that home enough. All of the stuff on social, even my social media, which I don't even curate that hard. Like I don't put certain stuff in, and I edit things like to make it look better. Like that's what we do. Yeah. And I'm a photographer, so like to some degree I kind of have to, because I have to, edit, get clients, stuff like that. But like, that's what it is. And we have to realize that, like, if you're going to use social media, you have to realize that it's fake. And then you also have to like only use it for the good things. And like, I think also like, and I'll end my rant here, but like the Facebook thing, when I like stopped posting on there, or at least I only post like very regularly or very occasionally. One of the things I like basically told myself, and I've two things kind of came into my life at the same time, was I was like, I'm just going to be radically positive. And I tell my students that, like, I'll walk into school and be like, listen, kids, I'm in a bad mood. And I'll just go, we're going to have a good day. Let's go. We're going to have a good day. Like, it's going to be good. And like doing that kind of stuff. And then also along with that, I only interact positively online. I will not fight with people online anymore. I used to do it, but it doesn't work. It does not work. I've spent hours researching, giving people academic studies. Listen, this is like the translation of, I'm arguing with people about the Bible. Listen, this is the Aramaic translation. Like, have you read through that? And then they just don't even look at it. They don't even look. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. So what I do now is I just go, that people go and say like, this is a dog shit picture. I say, well, thanks for the critical, like, the critical, feedback. Like, thank you so much. Have a great day. Like, that's it. Like, if I'm going to interact with them at all, I'm going to tell them like have a nice day and I'm going to try to be nice, because it's just not worth it.
Right.
It's not worth it to me anymore. It's so mentally taxing.
Yes, absolutely. Well, and that, I mean, we are going to bring this full circle, because when we think about our kids that come into the classroom, how many of them have just been doom scrolling and
100%.
seeing those things that make them feel less than, right? And then they're coming into our classroom and they're already feeling less than, right?
Yep.
So,
don't get me started on AI either.
I know.
God damn.
But going back to my thought about calling you by your name, it was interesting because I did see this reel that somebody posted. It was a teacher and the student, and this had to be like middle school, and the student called the teacher by their first name, and this teacher berated that student. And you should have read all the positive comments about her berating that student. I'm like, why? Like, I would take a look at myself and go, why is that triggering me so much that if one of my students called me Laura, I would be like, remember here at school, it's Mrs. Forehand. Or if they kept doing it, then I would pull them aside and go, so how come you like what's that about? Why, but I'm not going to like lose my shit. It's whatever. Most kids in a small town, they know what my first name is.
Yeah.
I mean,
and if you're losing your shit on a kid, like, you need to maybe rethink your career path. I just thought
the shame of that kid in front of all his peers to be like, don't you ever do that again.
In front of the world, because the teacher posted it online.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, now that kid is forever going to live online with that fucking shame, like, hanging over them. Hopefully that kid is like, wow, my teacher is a fucking asshole, and like, I don't give a shit about that person. Like, clearly this person is like a fucked up, like, bad person. Like, I don't want to say a bad person. Maybe they're just having a bad day. Whatever.
But still,
like,
again,
the point being is, like, did a really shitty thing, and like, first of all, I would never post. I guess there are certain cases where I get permission and stuff like that and post my kids online. I would never post myself yelling at a kid. Not only is that embarrassing for the kid, which is like the more important thing, but even selfishly for me, I feel like that makes you look like an asshole.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get how people get off on these like power trips. Like, oh, you feel powerful, like berating I teach these two twin boys during summer right now, and we talk so much shit to each other, but it's all fun. And they know, like, there are lines, like, where I'm just like, okay, that's and they're like, okay, we got it. Like, but like, we say so much disrespectful stuff to each other within limits. And then, but like, we know again what the lines are, but I just can't, I don't get it.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't get that mindset of like, I'm an authority figure, so I'm just going to yell at you. And then I'm going to feel like, because again, like, my point was with that is that, like, I can easily dominate. They're speaking their second language, or like, if you're teaching little kids or even like high schoolers, even if their first language is English, if you think it's like a feat to best a middle schooler or a high schooler with like your rhetoric, that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
You're a fucking failure. Like, if the best you can, like, because this, and I know this kind of from like, or at least I feel this from my experience. I had some teachers in my high school. I got in trouble with them a lot because I did not respect them, because they were shitty teachers and they were rude to students. And I don't, like, my kids know in my classroom there are very, very few rules. One of them is don't be mean. Don't be rude, and don't give me bullshit excuses. Like, if you have a legitimate excuse, then fine. But that's like basically all my rules. And if I like am like, hey, we gotta lock in, then we gotta lock in. Most kids can follow that. Like, it doesn't have to be complicated. But like, if I don't know. Oh, that shit gets me so mad. I get so mad when I see teachers doing that. I have to just be like, it takes everything I can to just like I've told kids before. Kids will be like, oh yeah, like so-and-so yelled at me. And I'm like, yeah, they're probably having a bad day, but like it's not good. I don't like that. I'm like, that's a shitty thing. And like, I've called my colleagues out, like, obviously not in front of the kids, but like, I pulled colleagues aside before and been like, listen, like, that shit doesn't work. Like, don't do that. Like, you're yelling at some kid that has like, and usually they don't know is the thing. They just assume, oh, I learned like this is the way we teach, and like these are the rules, and so we gotta like. And I'm like, you realize like their grandpa died this week, or like you realize this and this, and
That's
they're like,
just
no,
it.
and I'm like, you know why they don't tell you that? Because you're a fucking dick. Like,
And you
you're
don't
an
have a
asshole.
relationship. Yeah, you haven't cultivated that relationship. I mean, it goes back
Yep.
to that. Like
Yep.
if
Yep.
we
That
that has to be priority. And I'll reiterate, that doesn't mean being their friend. It means
yeah,
having boundaries and mutual respect. And a lot of people
yeah.
are just, especially the kids that I teach, of the mindset like, what 8, 9-year-old, I don't need to respect them. Well, yeah, you do. They're a human
Well,
being.
they're a human being. Yeah, fuck off.
So that kind of answers my other question, is who gets to decide what is problematic. And I think you hit the nail on the head, because it's
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
It's just whoever's highest in the hierarchy, which
Yep.
is why I don't like hierarchies. I mean, to some degree, we have to have them, but like, that's why I tell the kids, I'm like, listen, I'm not perfect. Like, and I've had kids, and because we do have that relationship, and because I've told them, listen, anything I do that upsets you or you think is not fair, you can tell me,
Yeah.
and I won't get mad, and I don't. Sometimes I feel sad. I've cried because kids have told me stuff before, but like, I'm not going to like freak out on you. And I've had kids tell me stuff where it like breaks my fucking heart. And I'm like, I didn't even realize I was doing that. And I'm like, I listen, I'm not perfect. I might do it again, but if I ever do it again, please tell me, and I will do my best to stop. And like that, like our relationship gets even better because of that.
Yes.
But like, if you're not willing to do that, if you're just like, you are below me, so you are a piece of shit, and I get to do whatever I want to you. And if you don't respect me, whatever that means on whatever day, and however I wake up on whatever side of the bed, like that's how can you expect, especially an elementary school student, but even a high school student, or even an adult, because most adults can't do this either, to just be able to read you well enough to decide what I can and can't do on that day. It's insane.
Right.
It's an insane thing to think. And it's honestly, I think it's like pretty fucking narcissistic.
Yeah.
Like, you are thinking you're better than, like, yeah, I've had kids where they're like, yeah, you did this. And I'm like, I'll apologize to them. I'll write them long emails. Like, and then we work through it. And again, I'm not perfect. I'm not trying to like fucking toot my own horn with this shit. Like, I'm just saying it because like, but the point being is it's fucking hard. That's why most people don't do it, is because it fucking, I'm sorry I'm swearing so much, but like,
no, you're
there
fine.
are times when you get that and you just, it's like, like again, literally, I've like sat at home crying before, like, cause like a very simple example of this, I had a kid who struggled with like, he is like a workaholic, and he's such a brilliant kid, like literally could do whatever he wants. But like he struggles with like pushing himself too hard. So he has trouble sleeping sometimes. And I just used to always say, like, I would like not give him as much homework. I'd be like, man, I know you're going to study this stuff by yourself. Like, I'm not going to give you a bunch of homework. Just like do what you can, basically, is what I would tell him. But I would always say like, oh, your homework for today is like, go to bed earlier. And then one day he's like, man, can you not tell me that? Because like when you tell me that, it makes it harder for me to sleep. And like it fucking broke me. Like I was like, fuck, dude.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm so sorry. Like saying it right now, like makes me want to cry.
Yeah.
But I like basically like sat him down. I was like, listen, man, I'm like, number one, so sorry. That's my bad. Like I didn't, that was exactly the opposite of like the effect I want to have. And then I wrote him a long email and I was like, listen, if there's anything like that, just let me know. Blah, blah, blah. Like now, like, I mean, same thing. Like there's still times when I mess up, but we have like such a good relationship that he tells me right away.
Yeah.
If I tell him something, like he doesn't, that time he like let it build up. Cause I'd only been teaching him for a short amount of time and whatever. Like he was like a little bit younger. Now, anytime I say something, he's like, yeah, man, like, I don't know about that. Like, and I'm like, okay, let's talk about it. And like, it also doesn't mean that like, there are times when kids will be like, I think you're being too hard on me. And I'll be like, I don't think I am. Like, I think you're being a little bit lazy. So it's not that like they tell me that and I'm just immediately going to like roll over.
Right.
That's not what it is. It's the same thing as you're saying with like you're not necessarily just being their friend. Like you're not allowing them to do whatever they want, but you are being open to them and you're actually thinking about it, as opposed to just saying like, oh, you can tell me whatever you want. And then they tell you and you're like, well, that's not the rule. So like follow the rule. Cause like I've had colleagues like that. And it's like, that's not any different. You're just adding a step to the same thing that you were doing before.
Yep. Well, I mean, everything you just said was just, you've created a climate of safety, which is so important in trauma-informed education is to have that felt safety in your classroom, and that your students can, come to you and say, man, that's, or whatever. I mean, and my kids can do that too on an 8 and 9-year-old level. I mean, but again, it goes back to creating that felt safety starts with creating those relationships. At this point, Jordan and I decided to take a little break. We will be releasing both episodes at the same time, however. Feel free to contemplate the first questions in the first episode, or simply move on to episode 443. Thank you for joining us today on the Desert Sanctuary podcast.
Remember, all who wander in the desert are not lost.
We believe all of our stories are sacred.
We are always here if you need someone to hear your story.
Check out our blog on Pathos and also our YouTube channel.
And stay tuned for our Leaning Forward conference.
Remember, we love you.
And be at peace.